Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday's Year 4 English lesson. This morning, our learning intention, we are going to write a character description using Year 4 writing objectives. Okay, but before we do that, I'm sure you'll all remember yesterday the opening chapter of our new book, Varjak Paul. What I want you to do very quickly, if you're in school with the person next to you, if you're at home, then with the adults any that might be around you. What can you remember about the story so far? And as part of that, where did the cats live? What type of cats were they? And why were the other cats a little bit upset with Varjak? Okay, and if you're feeling really into this morning, maybe you could try and think of as many of the family of cats names as you possibly can. Okay, I'm going to give you just 2 minutes just to talk with either a partner or an adult. Press pause while you're talking and press play when you're ready to resume. Okay, so where did the cats live? Well, the cats lived in an old house belonging to a lady called the Contessa. And the cats themselves, it says what type of cats were they? Well, they were a rare breed. They were Mesopotamian blues. Okay, now the Mesopotamia, we never really talked about it yesterday. Mesopotamia is a place a long way away. These days, we know Mesopotamia as being the country of Iraq, okay, out in the Middle East. Okay, so it's a desert country, and it's usually the land between two rivers, the rivers Tigris and the Euphrates. So Mesopotamia, quite a long way. And why were the other cats upset with Varjak? Well, they were upset with him because he wanted to be different. He didn't want to be like them. He wanted to go outside. He wanted to be adventurous. He wanted to go hunting. And they didn't want that. They just wanted a quiet life in the Contessa's house. The other cats, Julius, his big brother, was a bit upset with Varjak because he had different colour eyes. They all had green eyes. Varjak had amber-coloured eyes. And they said that this was they were upset with him because, you know, Julius was saying that's why he thinks the Contessa doesn't come down to them anymore, because she doesn't want to be anywhere near Varjak. So they've all been a bit mean to Varjak, really, with no reason. Okay. So with that in mind, what I want to move on to is chapter 2 of Varjak Paul. Now we'll do the same thing as we did yesterday. If you're in the classroom, you'll be able to use the book. If you're at home, now I've written on here, it's on Microsoft Teams. Well, it will be, but also all of our planning, all of our lesson resources can be found in the English part of our Year 4 webpage. Okay, so go onto the school website, Year 4, and then you'll go into home learning and you'll find it under this week's learning. So if you need to, it's there. I would suggest pressing pause while you're finding it and getting it up on the screen, and play when you're ready to listen and follow. Now again today, I want you to think about adjectives that describe Varjak, because you are going to need them this morning. We are going to be writing a character description based on Varjak. So we've got some of the words from yesterday, and I will see if we can add a few on today. Okay, right. So press pause now, and when you're ready to hear the story, press play. So at the end of yesterday's chapter, Varjak had just seen the gentleman and the other men come into the house wearing their black shoes and with the two black cats. And the other cats had not seen this. They'd all gone down to the dining room to get their food. And Varjak was a little bit like, you know, these cats have gone up where the blue cats are not allowed to go. So, chapter 2. Okay, you ready? What should he do? Things like this just didn't happen in the Contessa's house. Tell the family. They'd know what to do. Varjak rushed down the corridor. He could feel 2 pairs of identical black eyes watching him, but the cats didn't follow. They stayed by the stairs, guarding the way up. Fear and confusion scorched through Varjak's veins as he turned the corner. He raced to the kitchen, fast as he could go, faster still. Who were these cats? Who were the men? What did they want? He skidded to a halt by the kitchen, hesitated by the doorway. Everything seemed so normal. The whole family was in there. They were eating supper, munching and crunching from rows of china bowls, neat and regular, bowls of food, bowls of water, round white saucers full of full cream milk. He felt like a stranger, watching from a distance. They looked so grand with their perfectly groomed silver blue fur, their green eyes, their tidy little collars around their necks. "So, you're ready to behave like a proper blue?" said Father. "Very good." "Have you washed your paws?" said Mother. "There are cats!" shouted Varjak. "There are black cats in the house, and they—" "Varjak!" said Mother. "They came with a man." "Varjak!" said Father. "He's gone up to the Contessa's room." There was silence in the kitchen. The munching and crunching stopped. They all watched him, one great green accusing eye. "I just don't understand him," muttered Father. "Why can't he be like everyone else?" "You haven't washed your paws, have you, sweetheart?" said Mother. She came over and started scrubbing Varjak. Varjak bit his tongue. No one believed a word he said. It wasn't fair. In the middle of his family, he felt friendless and alone. "Come and eat with us, Varjak," said Cousin Jasmine. "The food's ever so nice." Jasmine's voice was cool and smooth, like milk in the morning. "I don't want to eat," he tried to explain. "There are black cats in the house." "Oh, who cares what that little insect does?" said Julius. "I'll have Varjak's food. You have to eat to build up your muscles." Julius puffed himself up and tucked into Varjak's bowl. Jasmine looked impressed. "You hear that, Varjak?" said Father proudly. "Julius is a proper Mesopotamian blue." Varjak bristled. Julius might be the family hero, but Varjak knew something no one else did. Something important. How could he make them believe him? "On Jalal's name, I swear it's true," he insisted. "The cats are guarding the stairs right now. I looked into their eyes." Ooh, he shivered at the memory. "They're all black." "Enough!" yelled Father. "That's enough of these tales." He spat out the word tales with particular disgust. "Ah, but some tales are true," said the elder Paul quietly. "Why don't you show us, Varjak? Take us to the cats." Father scowled at the elder Paul, but kept quiet. The head of the family always had the final say. Varjak's grandfather was getting old. His fine fur was almost all silver, and he seldom spoke up these days. But everyone listened when he did. Stomach knotted with nerves, Varjak led them down the corridor. He turned the corner into the hallway just in time to glimpse a blur of movement by the front door. The first man was holding it open for the others. They were carrying something away. Down by their shoes, two black tails swished out of the house. The man shut the door as the rest of Varjak's family entered the hallway. They hadn't seen the others or the black cats. All they could see was the man. "Why, it's a gentleman," said Mother. "I remember when we were kittens," said Aunt Junie. "There were ladies and gentlemen here every day. The Contessa always had visitors." They looked up the stairs. The Contessa's room was wide open. There was no one in her room. It was empty. Surprise rippled around the family. Not knowing what to think, they peered up at the gentleman, all except the elder Paul, who seemed thoughtful, as if he was trying to remember something. The gentleman pointed up at the Contessa's room and said something in his voice like thunder high above their heads. Then he crouched down, bringing himself closer to their level. His wet pink lips smiled. at each of them in turn. Varjak glanced nervously at the front door. The black cats hadn't come back. He hoped they wouldn't. With a flourish, the gentleman brought something out of his pocket. He held it out on his waxy white hand and murmured to the family. Curious, they edged a little closer to see what it was. A toy mouse! Small, grey, furry, it was perfect in every way, so precisely detailed it could almost be alive. The gentleman placed it on the floor in front of them. Varjak sniffed the mouse. It even smelled real. A tingle of wonder ran through him. He'd always wanted to hunt a mouse. Let me see that, said Father. He examined the toy. Amazing, he purred and battered it across to Julius. Julius flipped it stylishly through the air to Jay, to Jethro, to Jerome. They giggled. Varjak wondered if he'd get it back. Probably not. What a beautiful toy, said Mother. It's the best present we've ever had, cooed Jasmine. The gentleman smiled and stood up to his full height. He waved at them to follow as his shiny black shoes went clicking towards the kitchen. Jay, Jethro, and Jerome raced to be the first beside him. Come on, said Father. Let's see what he's going to do next. In the kitchen, the gentleman was spooning something into their bowls. It was an oily black paste with a sharp fishy smell. Varjak's nose wrinkled at it. Ugh, he said. That's caviar, whispered Mother. The rarest, most expensive food in the world. Treats like this are only given to the finest pedigree cats, purred Father. The gentleman knows how important we are. The man put the bowls back on the floor, heaped high with fishy food, and beamed down at them. His pink lips glistened as the cats started to sniff the caviar. He nodded, turned, and left the kitchen, smiling all the way. What was all the fuss about, Varjak? Said Father the moment he was gone. And that black cat nonsense. I'm calling a family council, interrupted the elder Paul. Now, everyone is to attend, even the kittens. But Elder Paul, protested Father, eyeing the bowls of caviar, family council is only for emergencies. It's now, repeated the elder Paul. Now, in the front room. The elder Paul strode away. Varjak glanced anxiously at Father's face. It was twisted with speechless rage. Okay, I hope you enjoyed chapter 2. Becoming a bit more interesting as we're going along as well. These are I've put on the screen here, as you can see, the descriptive words from yesterday. These are the ones that we put up about Varjak and the setting from yesterday. And what I want you to do this morning is just for maybe 5 minutes or so, just have a little think through, are there any extra descriptive words that you might want to add to yesterday? Anything you might have learned about Varjak this morning? I don't think we've learned too much more about him yet, but there might be something that you want to add. If not, it's not a problem. You're going to be using the words that you came up with yesterday. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes now. You can have a quick scan through the text if you're in school with your partner, or if you're at home, you might want to talk to an adult about what we've just read and see if there's any other words that you might think would be great to describe Varjak Paul. Okay, so press pause now and come back in 5 minutes. So hopefully you've gained a few more words that you might want to add that might describe Varjak. Don't panic too much if you haven't, because you've got plenty enough that you can work with. Now, what I've done this morning, I've put up onto the screen right now is a waggle. Now, for parents at home that aren't sure what the word waggle means, it's basically what a good one looks like. Okay, And the children will tell you that we use the word waggle in school quite a lot. And we use it as a way of showing the children what a good quality piece of writing would look like. And what I'm going to ask you to do this morning, guys, is I'm going to read through this waggle with you. Now, our learning intention this morning was to write a character description of Varjak Paul. Okay. And what I'm going to do is we're going to read it through together. And then what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to give you a list of things that you might, we give 4 objectives that you might be able to find in that waggle this morning. And then I'm going to ask you to have a little look for it. But first of all, we're going to read it through together. Okay, so Varjak Paul is a purebred Mesopotamian blue. His fur is as sleek and shiny as the sun glittering on a warm summer's day. Varjak is restless, restless because he has spent his whole life trapped in the old dusty house. Varjak, who is desperate to hunt mice, wants to go outside into the garden and explore the area in front of the high stone wall. Varjak doesn't feel part of his family. Somehow they feel different to him. Maybe it was the fact they had shimmering emerald green eyes while his were amber. Maybe it was the fact that they enjoyed their quiet family life while he wanted adventure. Okay, so you have there our waggle for this morning. As you can see, it doesn't have to be a hugely long piece of writing. I've got 3 paragraphs there. And what I'm going to ask you to do now is to have a look. I've got the waggle up again here. I've written underneath here, I said for our independent task, can you spot any of the year 4 writing objectives? I'm only going to give you 5 minutes on this. You can see at the bottom here, I've put paragraphs, similes, Alan Pete sentences, in this case, last word, first word. Are there any exclamations? Are there any relative clauses? And are there any expanded noun phrases? Now, you might find there's more than one of certain things, okay? But there might only be one of others. I'm only going to give you 5 minutes just to get you back into the habit of looking and using year 4 writing objectives. Okay, so press pause now while you're having a look and press play when you come back. Okay, welcome back. So, straight away, if I'm looking at the objectives down below the bottom here, first of all, I can see that this is written in paragraphs. It's a year 4 writing objective to write paragraphs, okay? And each of them is talking about something slightly different each time, okay? So we've got 3 paragraphs up there. Varjak Paul is a purebred Mesopotamian blue, okay? That's an expanded noun phrase, okay, because it's got purebred and then Mesopotamian blue being the name of it, okay? So you've got expanded noun phrase there. His fur is as sleek and shiny as the sun glittering on a warm summer's day, okay? Definitely got a simile there because the word as, it's being compared using the word as. Varjak is restless. Restless because he has spent his whole life trapped in the old dusty house. There's a couple in this one. We know it's an Alan Pete sentence because it's last word, first word, but also it has an expanded noun phrase, old dusty house. So if you spotted both of those, well done. Varjak, who is desperate to hunt mice, wants to go outside into the garden and explore the area in front of the high stone wall. Okay, so straight away we've got relative clause. It's a drop-in clause. It adds information about the subject, Varjak, but if we were to take it away, the sentence would still make sense on its own. Okay, so it's an added phrase to the sentence. And at the bottom here again, high stone wall, we've got expanded noun phrase. Okay, Varjak doesn't feel part of the family. Somehow they feel different to him. Okay, now we haven't got it on here, but actually that's being used as a frontal-adverbial phrase there. Somehow, comma, they feel different to him. Maybe it was the fact that they had shimmering emerald green eyes, expanded noun phrase, while his were amber. Maybe it was the fact that they enjoyed their quiet family life while he wanted adventure. Okay, so we've got an exclamation there at the end. He wanted adventure. So you can see that I've used all 6 of those Year 4 writing objectives to write this independent task. Hopefully you found a few of those when you were looking through. Okay, the main part of this morning's lesson, I want you to think back to the Waggle that we've just read. Okay, if you're in school, you've got a copy in front of you. If you're at home, you can pull a copy up onto the screen. Your task this morning is to write a character description of either Vajak Paul or the gentleman who arrives at the house in chapter 2. Personally, I would be thinking more about Vajak Paul, but if you want to stretch yourself, you could go for the gentleman. I've said here, feel free to use the text, so you can use the book, use the chapter, or the chapters so far to help you if you want to. And of course, we always say, use the Waggle, magpie ideas from the Waggle. The only thing we ask is that you don't copy whole sentences from the Waggle, okay? But feel free to take ideas from it, feel free to steal description ideas from it. That's why it's there to help. And what we're asking here, I'm going to put at the bottom here, please try and use the following. We've got paragraphs, similes, Alan Pete sentences, expanded noun phrase, exclamations, and I'm asking, this is an absolute must, please use your punctuation correctly. Capital letters and full stops need to be definitely used properly. Some of you have got a really bad habit, even now, of dropping capital letters into the middle of sentences on normal words. I get, you obviously need to when it's a name, but when it's not a proper noun, when it's not a name, you shouldn't be using capital letters really. Okay, so I'm going to give you probably 25 minutes on this maximum to write for me your Waggle. Don't forget, I use 3 paragraphs. Feel free to use three paragraphs or more if you need to. Okay, but have a go at writing this the best you possibly can using some of these Year 4 writing objectives. Okay, I'll see you when you are finished. Press pause now. Okay, the final part of the lesson, our plenary this morning, I'd like you, if you can, to look back at the writing that you have just completed. Can you check that you've used the Year 4 writing objectives that we targeted at the beginning? Okay, so if you're in school, you can show your work, your writing to a partner and ask, show them, say, demonstrate where you've used each of those writing objectives. If you're at home, can you take your writing to an adult and say, right, I've used paragraphs here, I've used similes here, demonstrate your understanding of those writing objectives and show where you've used them. Don't forget, we want to see a picture of your writing, either via email or on Microsoft Teams. It'd be really good if we could see them, and we can try and give you some feedback if we can. And also, we want to put them up on the website, all your work. That does mean, though, that you need to be thinking hard about your handwriting. Okay, I'm expecting your handwriting to be as good as it would be when you're in school. Okay, Ms. Flukes and I are looking for presentation, even though we're not with you. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you tomorrow.